Pallas, which is an asteroid in astrology, and I thought I would go through it. So, this asteroid's about quite a few things, but there's some similarities to the sign of Libra. So, they're very much this asteroid's about negotiation skills and finding win-win situations among people or among situations. It's the offer that others can't refuse. And this can also be related to father-child relationships, and as a result, how we treat men. This is more of a feminine leaning asteroid, and it has feminine themes. But there's links to the understanding and how to work with conflict because of this asteroid. Legal battles, injustice, which of course is why I said it's kind of Libra-like, because that's sort of a Libra thing. But there are differences. It is definitely more linked to how we use our talents and wisdom. But again, it can kind of feed into these other themes. The other thing that it is about is, I guess, not just conflict, but how we endure, how we enter battles, and what we do to overcome them. This isn't an Aries kind of approach or a Mars approach to battles. This is more, it's more cerebral. It's more about figuring out strategy, negotiation. And this is diplomatic negotiation, types of styles of dealing with problems or conflicts or battles or whatever. And again, this can leak into the legal system. This I can see, just like with Libra, this is like a lawyer, judge type of energy, somebody who works within these types of areas and they have a particular skill. So again, if you have a very prominent Pallas in your chart, if it plays strong aspects to other planets and asteroids, if it's prominent in your chart in terms of the house it's in, again, all of these things are going to create a stronger complexion and complexity as to how Pallas will show up in your chart. So the other thing that's interesting is it can be related to illness and disease and how the immune system works. So again, it gives you that understanding when there's balance throughout the body, not just the mind. The immune system is stronger, so you're less likely to get sick or have disease or be run down. So it's an important one to make. And again, it's all about balance. It's all about figuring out what things are good for you and making sure you do as much of them as possible so that creates a healthy balance and an equilibrium within your body and within your mind. So this asteroid makes us fight for our desires and to utilize our talents. So again, when it comes to this, you can place it in terms of how we deal with conflict and how we deal with problems. And that is predominantly what it's about. But it's also, what are your talents and how do you use them? What do you use them for based on your life experience? What types of things you've seen and done and why you've done those things, and now you've become perhaps an expert. Perhaps you've now conquered and you've found a way to bring these talents into being and to help others with them, to fight injustice with them, to inspire. Again, it depends on how you want to go about it. Maybe you create really interesting art, because again, this is another asteroid to do with creativity and talent. So what are those talents? Like again, what Pallas, if you know what house it's in, it will show you where those talents lie, because you'll combine the energy of Pallas with the house. And again, what other aspects and things play with it. It then helps you figure out what types of things you're meant to do with it. And not just for others' benefit, like it will be inspiring and fulfilling to you by doing it, because it's where your talent lies. It's where your wisdom, your life experience, where this is located. So it does lean towards politics and legal. Again, I've already brought that up, but I think it's important to note when you bring Pallas into the mix, it's going to help you figure out what avenue you should go in. Again, science is going to be another obvious sort of choice, and leading a team or creating teamwork within the system, because it's about those negotiations, because it's about finding the common points between groups of people and what this person's talent is and what that person's special skill is and what this person brings to the table. You know what I mean? And then everybody is sort of connected in that regard, because everybody has their thing to do. Everybody has their place. Everybody has their skill they're motivated by and their talent that they can bring to the table. It's similar, or I wouldn't say not just similar to Libra, but it sits between Mars and Jupiter in the asteroid belt, and it was discovered in 1802. So again, I don't know, I can kind of see these blends. So with the desire to I guess negotiate and fix battles, it gives me a Libra Mars kind of quality. That's the vibe it gives me. And because it sits between Mars and Jupiter in the asteroid belt, it kind of makes sense. So it brings more of a diplomatic approach to conflict and problems. And that means, again, it's going to change. So yes, it brings this theme, but it's going to change depending on what planets it's influenced by, what asteroids it's influenced by, and where in the chart it's located. So it will change that. But again, it creates this ability to use those skills to create action, to move forward, to do something with it. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool in that regard. Then we have Jupiter, which is the one that's next to. So again, I can see that too, because it's about talent, because it's about wisdom. These are very much the themes of Jupiter. So it makes sense that this particular asteroid is going to blend those qualities wherever it's placed. And that's why it's important, I think. I'm a big fan of asteroids because they're not something that a lot of people talk about, but I think they're important because it all adds into the complexion of what makes you you. And again, because we can focus, like the readings I do, we can focus on particulars, whatever it is that you want to know more about when it comes to yourself. You can take these asteroids as well as planets and add that to the complexion that is what makes you you, because your chart will be completely different to everybody else. None of it will be the same. You might have a couple of placements of the same as someone else, but they won't be in the same house. They won't have the same aspects, and they won't be the same the rest of the chart. The asteroids, everything else will be different. So that's what makes this so interesting and shows how unique and special all of us are. And that's why I put that in this video, because I think that's what Pallas is about. So Pallas moves through the signs fairly quickly. It's every 3 months. So it's going to change what sign it's in pretty consistently. So this isn't a generational type of asteroids. It moves fast. So that means there's no way you're going to be the same as people your age in terms of Pallas, because it's not a generational slow moving asteroid. It moves quick. So that means one sign to the next sign to the next sign, and it shifts. So it's going to be more like Mercury in that regard, or the sun or the moon. These ones move quicker. And that's why, you've got a different sun sign, a different moon sign, and Mercury is not far behind. So I'd say Pallas is right up there with it. So yeah, I look forward to finding a way to put Pallas into a reading, because I think it's important to understand how we deal with conflict and understand what we're supposed to do with it, and how we use our talents and our wisdom and our skills. So yeah, I'll definitely figure out a way to put this into a reading, and that way people can figure out how to improve the conflict in their life, because you can't avoid conflict, and Pallas won't let you. Pallas will look for those win-win situations that work for everybody. So I hope that was enjoyable, and I'll be, of course, back to do more videos soon.